Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dan French, Wealthytainment. You guys know the channel. For everybody out there that has subscribed or hit a like button or also made a comment, thank you for all the support. We're going to get right into this topic today. Very interesting topic that came out in the news, and it's regarding Dave Ramsey. He came out and started talking about childcare and how childcare is ultimately going up, and how people that actually pay 25,000 all the way upwards of 80,000, how that's just crazy to pay $80,000 for childcare. And you got to look at the average income or annual income for per household or per couple to support this. And when they called in to ask Dave Ramsey a question on this, he pretty much snubbed them off, ridiculed the situation, and said, "Where are you guys taking your kids, to Harvard? What do you got? Why are you spending so much money? You need to change that." So we're going to give our opinion on this. Listen to what Dave had to say, give our opinion. And I'm going to bring Chris in. Chris, what's up, my brother? How are you?
My brother, it's always a pleasure, man. How's everything?
Everything is great. Everything is great. What's been going on in your world? What's been going on in your world?
Everything, man. I just, my fiance, she's going for a position that would require for a management position, that is. So she's excited about that. Daughter's about to graduate high school, so she is excited about that. And my grandmother is going to be retiring soon, so a lot of moving parts for the family here in the Suisang household.
Yeah, and you're the man of the household. You're the pillar, I think, keeping that household together. Taking and making sure everybody gets taken care of. I didn't know your grandmother was still working, man. She's still working at that age?
Oh man, my grandmother's a warrior. I mean, I could only, I could only hope to one day have that physical tenacity and the mental tenacity to, work at 82 years young. So
absolutely,
she's been at the link. Yeah, she's been at the link for 33 years, man, and she wants to retire. I guess physically she wants to retire, but mentally she doesn't want to retire because she's like, it keeps me young, it keeps me active, and you can only play so much bingo and watch Thai movies in a day before you become inundated with the what would be the I guess the I guess it could be boring. Boring would be a good word. I don't know why I'm trying to think about some intricate word, but boring, the day-to-day life operations of your daily life after somebody retires, they don't have a sense of, I guess, purpose that could be, and she fears that. So I'm with her.
Yeah, I'll probably be the same situation, man. I'm not going to be one that's going to want to retire. I'm going to continue to work, not because, it's by choice, but you just want to work to keep going. You got to have a purpose and motivation. So let's get right into Dave Ramsey and what he had to say. So let's listen to what Dave Ramsey had to say on this topic. This caller called in. Then we're going to come back. We'll give our opinion, let you know what we think about childcare, and kind of give our experiences and our stories. Let's listen to what they had to say.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
I'm expecting my income to increase pretty dramatically in 2 years, but in the meantime, I'm having trouble paying costs, including 2 kids in daycare. So my question is it okay to go into debt, take out a loan, or is it better to become extremely frugal and cut costs as much as possible?
C, work more. None of the above. So what is this guaranteed income increase that's dramatic in 2 years? Explain to me what's going on.
My wife is doing a medical residency, so in 2 years she'll be done with that and get a job as a doctor.
Yeah, that will increase things pretty dramatically.
That's great.
And how much debt will you guys have?
Right now we have, we own a house, and aside from the house, we have about $25,000 in student loan debt.
And is she borrowing to finish medical school?
No, she has no med school debt.
Wow.
The student debt is mine.
Okay. So that she'll graduate debt-free in 2 years.
She's done with medical school. She's doing her residency right now.
But I mean, she'll finish and pass her boards after residency and become an MD.
That's correct.
Okay, excellent. And no more. So what's she making in residency?
About $70,000.
And what are you making?
About $110,000.
Can you explain to me why you can't get by on 180? And you have to borrow money because you can't get by on $180,000?
No, something's not right.
Our child care costs are about $80,000 a year.
$180,000, and you're going to explain that with child care costs?
Hold on, how much are you paying a month in child care?
It's about $80,000 a year.
Why?
For
you bought them in college?
The base tuition for the child daycare we use is $25,000 per kid. Then we pay extra for early care and aftercare, and it doesn't go during the summer. So during the summer, we need a nanny.
There's cheaper route. I know that there.
I'm gonna be as nice as I can, Dave. You guys have lost your minds.
There's cheaper routes.
Oh, you think?
There's cheaper routes. That's all I can say because here's
you
the thing.
got them in some kind of dadgum.
All right, so we've come back, Chris. You've heard what Dave had to say. You know the data. Let's talk about childcare. So childcare is an expense that's going up here in the U.S. It's been going up. When you look and see if you want, daycare throughout the day, maybe on non-working hours, maybe beyond 9 to 5. Let's say if you're working a job and you got to have extended hours either before or after. These people called in and said childcare, they're spending $80,000. And I think it's very important to find the right entity, couple, person, whoever it is that you're paying to support and take care of your kids. We've heard horror stories of kids getting abused and things like that. We're not going to go down that road, but you got to think people are willing to spend that amount of money to make sure that their kids are safe and that they're taken care of and they're getting educated as well. And so I don't think that's outlandish for somebody to spend that much money, especially if you're making upwards of $180,000 to $200,000, because at the end of the day, why are you doing this? You're doing it for your family. A lot of people are doing it for kids. That's if somebody's really coming in and stating, that if you're not single, then what else do you spend your money on, right? A lot of people say, well, it's going to go right back to the family. So, Chris, let's talk about this situation. What are your thoughts on Dave Ramsey and his way of answering that conversation or that caller coming in? And what are your thoughts on that situation?
Dave Ramsey has gained a following masterfully, I'll add, through being budget conscious and financially conscious on what we spend our money on. I do think he's out of touch on what childcare costs. Now, were these people paying an absorbent amount of money? Well, I don't know. That's your child. They assess that and they assess that expense. And for them, it's worth it to make sure that their kids are getting the utmost care along. I'd imagine that's probably with some learning as well. It's not like they're just watching them play in the corner, right? Play with blocks. I'd have to probably say there's probably some teaching involved, maybe lightly, right? Some social skills that's involved. Maybe they provide lunches. I don't know. We're not going to sit here and assume, or I'm not going to sit here and assume what the school provides. Overall, though, childcare cost has gone up. So even if you cut that in half, and let's just say it's $40,000, let's even go down to 25% and say it's $20,000 a year. That is a lot of damn money for childcare cost. My daughter is 17, so it's been quite some time since I've had to pay. So I'm at a touch with that. But when I looked it up, it looked like the average care right now is about $175 a week. And that's basic. It ranges from anywhere from you just dropping your kid off for some after school program. And they're only there for a couple hours while you're getting off work. So they have somewhere to go while you're still working, and all the way up to $400 a week where it's full blown care. And then then it goes up to almost double that if it's an infant. So an infant, maybe an infant was it 1 month to 9 months old, something like that, until it becomes 1 year old. I don't know what that is, but the whole he is starting to become out of touch. When you look at the comments and what people are saying, when he talks about, a car note for $200, the average car note is not $200. Stop. There's just certain things that have gone up. That's like saying, oh, you spent $200 on groceries. Like, where are you buying your groceries? We all know that it doesn't matter if it's Whole Foods or your local grocery store. $200 does not get you much, especially if you have a growing family.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, man. I think you're absolutely right. Dave came out and stated that, it's way too expensive. We talked about that. With Dave's situation, I feel a lot of people are reaching out to Dave, and it's built his ego. I'm not saying he doesn't have good input and that he's not put out there a lot of good information for people that need some support or guidance. We're in business. You're in car sales. I'm in business. People come to us, and it's a great feeling to have people come to us for advice or direction or information. And I think you, as people in general that work in sales or whatever the job is, that it's important for people to feel, that they're worthy or that they have self-worth. A lot of the stuff that goes on with Dave is Dave has been fed for so long that he's the guru, right? He's the guy that everybody goes to about, canceling debt. What is your advice on this? And sometimes I think he oversteps what he needs to say, especially when you're dealing with somebody's kids, right? Kids are going to always have a more sensitive position with family. A lot of people that have families, their purpose of going to work, making more money is to support their family to the best of their ability, create memories, vacations, things of that sort. So there's not a price tag on stuff like that, especially if you have kids. He is out of touch. And this is another example of Dave, which I feel like he's longer on the tooth. He doesn't have the same, information or maybe some outlandish things here and there because he thinks the same recipe to get anything done is always going to be the same way. Why are you spending so much on this? Why are you overspending? That does work. And I'm going to say it works for majority of the time. But when you look at 27% of some of these families or some of these households paying towards, childcare income, some of these families spending $16,000, $25,000 per kid, that's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that if you want to work to support your family. There's a lot of other places that you can put your money that's not necessarily needed, right? So when you're talking about child care is a very important facet, and it's something that anybody that's out there that has kids maybe can relate. I don't even know if Dave, obviously he has no kids. I mean, what is he, pushing 70? I don't even know how old Dave is. But from my perspective, I think it was just an outlandish thing. I agree, and I think he should get a little ridicule on the situation because he is out of touch and he needs to reevaluate. I go back into something and say, you don't know everything. You could be doing something all your life. He might be doing this for 20, 25 years. Maybe he's an expert, right? But you're always going to come across a situation where there's that gray line or that gray area. And I feel that same answer to every single thing isn't always the right answer. And I feel that a lot of these people that start getting their ego, they've developed or established themselves as being a professional or expert in a certain field or craft, they overstep sometimes. What do you think?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, he, in terms of his age, I think, and I don't know if the show is live and you don't know what question you're going to get. So when it's not like he gets asked a question and then he can sit there and do the research and Google it real quick. What's the average daycare cost? I don't know how the show is set up, but I do think before blurting out that someone's overpaying for something, he should be able to get someone. I mean, he's got an extensive staff. I'd imagine that he could say, hey, well, you know what, let's Google what the average daycare cost is right now. And then he can give a proper, at least a quick synopsis of an answer. To play the other side, though, people shouldn't be having, well, I don't want to say people should be planning better that if you're going to have children, you can afford them. People have a lot of kids and they just cannot afford them. And then what happens is grandma becomes a babysitter, or grandpa becomes his babysitter, or the sister or aunt, and the family member ends up taking on this, which could be a burden to one. You know, I know, let's just say, like, say my brother had a kid and he was always hitting me up to watch my nephew or my niece. Yeah, every now and then is not a problem, but, you know, that's not my responsibility. And so we do have to see that side. And, you know, because, you know, a few decades ago, people didn't have kids unless they could afford them. That was something that was planned. Now, granted, you know, we don't know when, you know, when whatever your belief is, but, you know, for me, it's like, you know, a child coming into this world would be a blessing in a sense, coming from the Creator. And so would they come when they come, and we take care of them as they come. However, that still needs to be planned. If you've got multiple kids and you can barely take care of one, you're just sliding the other children that are coming into this world that you can't afford. What's your take on that?
Well, I think you look at this situation with this family, this specific family, or families in general. If they're going to go ahead and spend the money, great, no problem. They obviously can afford it. If you're making 180,000, you still, you know, have 100,000 left over to take care of whatever you need to take care of. Now, when you brought up a sensitive subject, which a lot of people are going to either agree or disagree, and that's completely fine. I have a story where I've had people where they're literally having kids. You know, I've met people where they're having kids to get bigger tax returns. The state, if they're getting government assistance or support or state assistance, you know, I get it. You have to, if you need it for a period of time because you have a kid or maybe two, you're, you know, whoever, one of the spouse left and there was a 2-income family to support it, no problem. But when you start to become irresponsible and you start to put people or have kids that are bringing them into this world that you really can't support, there's a layer to that as well. And I can't disagree with that. I think it comes down to, that's a different topic in a sense of he's scolding or putting down somebody that is saying that, hey, they're willing to spend money because they make money, versus somebody that says, I make, you know, I'm going to spend $50,000 on on these kids, and yet I only make, you know, 75,000. Yet I have 5 kids or 3 kids, whatever it is. It's just, does that support your current income level? And I think that's a per case basis, right? That's per situation. It depends on if you have 2 people working. But I think anytime you deal with anybody trying to tell you what to do with your kids, regardless if you need the support from assistance with government or not, you're going to strike somebody's nerve. And it happened. And not only that, he's gotten a lot of pushback and ridicule from it. And, you know, again, it comes down to, you gotta kind of gauge the room. You gotta say, you know, think about things that you say before you say them. You know, to me, there's a time and place for somebody to say that. I don't think you say that over a show. I don't agree with it, but I'm just saying you can't just come out and blurt back, hey, what are you guys doing? You're doing this all wrong, and you're spending way too much money.
Well, to his defense, they called into his show. You know, they're calling to his show. He's an advice. You know, he would be.
Yeah, but they're calling, no, Chris, but they're calling for advice, not to be ridiculed. A lot of people don't want to get ridiculed.
Yeah, but that's the advice that he gave him. Hey, listen, you're making this amount of income, and you're trying to find out what you can do with set amount for investing, or maybe you want to do real estate. I don't know the sense of the call, but the guy, and then what Dave Ramsey does, he starts asking him about, okay, what do you pay for this? What do you pay for that? What do you pay for this? How
much would you pay for your kids? Like if you had kids, I know your kids, well, you have a kid or a daughter, but she's older now. But let's say you had kids at a younger, you were younger age, those kids. Would you spend that kind of money on childcare?
$80,000 a year? Oh, well, it would be 40 because I believe the caller had 2 kids, correct?
Yeah, let's say, would you spend 40 on it, 20 a year for these? And, you know, you're not going high end. Maybe they don't need extra care before and after, whatever. How much would you be willing to spend? Would you be willing to put them in a child care position where they're taken care of, and you're willing to spend $40,000 for 2 kids?
40 for 2?
Yeah.
I'd have to weigh out what you get for that, because I'm definitely not paying that for a babysitter. That's just me. Just to watch my kid, I could pay my mom to do that.
Yeah, but what if your mom isn't available? What if your mom's not there? That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, you know, my my mom never really made money, and so if it got to the point where I was making the type of money that would support 40, I'd rather pay my mom $40,000 a year and have her quit her job. That's what I would do, but instead of giving it to someone else.
Well, let me say this. Okay, yeah, you would pay your mom, or you pay your mom if she's available. I think it comes down to, though, is it a cost consideration for you? If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. I mean, that's just the bottom line. If you can't afford it, you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you're just living just to pay your bills.
At that point, what you're doing is you're working, you're trying to figure out, like, hopefully there's another partner in the house, a spouse, whoever that is in your life that watches the kids, and you can do shifts, like while you work morning, your spouse is home watching the kids, and then as you're coming home, spouse is getting ready to walk out the house to work in the evening. And that doesn't sound very desirable, doesn't sound fun, but the kids are here now and they are a priority, and that's what needs to be done. And that's the sacrifice that has to happen. Now single parent households get really crushed. If the spouse is not very supportive, if they're not very cooperative and working out some type of way for the kids to be watched and supervised and cared for, that's very, very tough. And so I feel for those parents out there. They're single home and they got 2 kids, 1 kid, 3 kids, and childcare. You're almost just working to pay for the childcare in a sense. Yeah. And that has to be a shitty predicament to be in.
I agree, man. So let's kind of finish this up. Dave Ramsey with his remarks. I think he's like we talked about. He's somebody that is a little bit out of touch, and you can't always fix something by lowering your costs. It does help, but there's some things in life, would you agree, that it's okay to pay a premium or pay a little bit more money? Obviously, your kids being one of them. I would have no question and no second thought that if I made enough money like that, and I'm willing to make adjustments and still have enough money to live off of whatever bills we need to pay and still live a decent life, no question I'm going to do that. Would you do the same, or would you change that?
No, my philosophy when it comes to financial hardship is that cutting back is not the cure. You have to make more.
That's it. Scale up.
Yeah, my mindset is make more, not cut back.
Yeah.
And if you're cutting back, that is not the recipe for getting ahead. Getting ahead, you have to make more money, and work on your financial spending as well. Because if you're just making more and you have another job and that's just going to poor spending habits, then you're just working twice to have the same result. So yes, coupled with being financially at least sound, you don't have to be a financial guru, but financially sound, and get another job, find another way to make some more income.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you for listening to this. Let us know your thoughts on what's going on with Dave Ramsey. And you think he's outlandish for saying this? You think he's out of touch for saying the things that he did? This is Dan French with Wealthytainment. Like, subscribe, hit the like button. Make any comments or create any comments. We'll answer them to the best of our ability. Chris, you got anything else to say?
Nah, my brother. It's always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. Till next time, everybody.
We're out of here.